Shah.
Shah.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Shalak. Rayam. Why? Ainash. Why? Haragi. Why? Mishpani. Why? Gadar. Mawat. Ow. Kor. Adawani. Why? Gawaya. What? Ayab Yanawa. Baba Kashab. Baba Kashab. Shalak. Ash. Ba. Shem. Bayat. Baba Kashab. Shabar. What? Abad. Ayab Yanawa. Baba Kashab. Shabar. Ha. Makan. Shur. Ha. Ayab Yat. Baba Kashab. Sar. Ma. Gayam. Ba. La. Masapai. The water.
All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, and Mashiach, Malak Yahushai. That is to say, Yahweh, being named the Heavenly Father, who the world will call God, and Yahweh Shai, being named His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. This is Brother Kesadia from WW3 Jersey, Philly.
Brother Yatazamak.
Khan, and through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, we're back again with a Watchmen Wednesday. Most High willing, we can provide you some updates, some current events, things that's going on. Lord willing, you tuning in yourself, right? You're keeping watch, you're being vigilant, you're being circumspect over the different things that's happening in the earth, right? I'm gonna get a quick precept before we continue on. So we always want to open right to it. That's the spirit. We always want to be mindful of the different things that's going on. We talk about it all the time, but you're literally living in the last days, right? It's not really a joking matter whatsoever, right? So brothers want to make sure that you're being mindful and you have your head on a swivel, right? You have your P's and Q's and your ducks or whatever else lined up in order, and you're ready for all hell to break loose, right? So a lot just happened today. A lot's been happening, the past 24, 48 hours. So we want to go into the different things that's taking place right now. I'm going to get a quick precept. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 43 and verse number 10. It says, Sirach 43 verse 10, at the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. Right, so this is in context, this is going into all the works of the Most High, right? The sun, the moon, the stars, the different things that the Most High has created, the clouds. These things, when the Most High sets them up in order, they never faint. They don't switch up and do their own thing, right? So how much more the men of the Lord? How much more the servants of the Most High God? We can't faint in our watches. We have to stand up in the order that the Most High appointed us in. And there's different things that you may be dealing with. There's different things that we deal with being in His flesh and being in His body, but that doesn't give an excuse or a leeway to frustrate the grace of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The Lord commanded us to keep watch. The Lord commanded us to be servants, stewards, porters, watchmen. You understand? So the point is that we have to do what the Most High commanded us to do. And as being servants of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, again, we got to look at the things that's taking place in the world and always lining up with these scriptures and these precepts. So you understand what time you living in, right? I want to get this precept, then I'm going to pass it over to a brother, right? It's the book of St. Mark, chapter 13, and I want to get right to it, verse 35. 34. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh, at even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. So the Lord said, what I say unto you, and who was he speaking to? The apostles. So this wasn't just a decree given to the apostles. Remember, there's commands all throughout this Bible. The Lord said, what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. So everyone that's tuned in, right? Everyone, whether you're watching on the Cold Cuts channel, and we're also streaming right now on the W5 Jersey Philly channel. Whoever's watching this, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this later, and the Lord said you have to watch. So the different things that's taking place in the world, you want to be mindful of it because it's only giving you a greater insight on the coming of the day of the Lord. Right, brothers got it.
I think the brother you froze. If I'm not mistaken, I'll get into though. So, book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, and verse 5. It says, "The just Lord is in the midst thereof; he will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light." So, as we go through another Watchmen Wednesday, and go through the certain events that are happening in the earth, Israel, let's keep on our mind that the Lord is continuously bringing forth judgment every single day. And that's a classic. That's a classic that all men should meditate on. Because a lot of men, they get weary in the truth. They start drifting back into the world. They start thinking the Lord's taking too long. They start saying the Lord's not coming anymore. Hey, us as Israelites that had the faith in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man, as his true chosen people, we gotta remember that the Lord, he brings forth his judgment every single morning, man. Every morning is the Lord doing his work. It's up to you whether you want to watch and perceive these certain things, man. Because a carnal man is not gonna perceive, the things that the Lord's doing in the earth right now. A carnal man is gonna say, well, the Lord, he's taking too long. Where is that? Where's he at? What's taking so long? I'm tired. And they're gonna start getting waxing weaker and weaker and start drifting back into the world, man, and stop keeping the works of the Most High. Why? Because they lost the faith. They lost the patience and the faith of the saints. We as Israelites and those that have the faith cannot lose it. So let's read that one more time. It says, "The just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame." And the things that the Lord proclaim to happen upon those that are due for judgment, they don't fail. And right now we see the things that America is going through. We perceive and understand that that's the Lord's judgment. Everything that goes on from the time you wake up to the time you close your eyes, and even when you're asleep, that's the Lord's judgment, man. The Lord works 24/7, 360. So we gotta understand that this is judgment from the Lord, what we're about to go into, and remember that happens every day. So Lord willing, everyone's keeping watch, and all praise the Most High. We're doing another Watchmen Wednesday, and all you are here to join us. Makan, you got it, Ken.
Y'all can hear me?
Con.
Ken.
I don't know why, but it's acting. I know you said I might have froze. It's acting. I don't know. It's acting slow, but like the brothers are saying though, we got to keep watch because just like the brothers, this is like the verse he went into. The Most High, he's bringing his judgment, just like a movie. There's always something in motion, even if it feels like there's nothing happening. There's always something happening. And brothers talk about it. I've said it before. Just like in chess, it says the Most High, he's a man of war. Chess is a game set up and based on war, and it might be boring at first, people moving their pieces around, but once the ball gets rolling, once the game gets going, then you're going to start to see big pieces start to fall, right? And even though it might seem boring or a little like the pawns is falling and things like that, but there's always things being set in place and there's always movement happening. So you have to know what's happening in order for you to know what's going to happen next. You see what I'm saying? So this is why we have to watch. And like the scriptures read, and Yahushua, he always taught that we as a people, we got to watch. Because the Most High, he has prophecies that are lined up that have to happen for our salvation to come to fruition. Right? So I got a precept. This is in Matthew 24 and verse 42. Right? It says, "Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour the Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would have not suffered his house to be broken up." Meaning what? If say you got, you live in your house, apartment, whatever. If you knew a thief or a robber was going to come, you would be up all night making sure that you were prepared for that thief to come in your house, so you're not taken unawares, like the scripture says. That's how we have to be, right? And it's truth, having the prophecies, we might not know exactly when the Lord is coming back, but we measure the time, like it says in Second Ezra, the 9th chapter, based on the prophecy that the Most High gave us, right? It says we have a more sure word of prophecy, so that way we have a time, we have a time frame on when things are going to happen, when they're going to play out. So we have to use these prophecies and watch, so we're not again taken like a thief in the night. That's why it says if the good man, if he knew when the thief was going to come in, he would have prepared himself. You have to act like that good man that knows that that thief is coming. So what? You have to prepare yourself. I'm going to read on. It says, "Therefore be ye ready, Salakia. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh." Right. So we have to constantly be preparing ourselves, constantly be watching, looking at these geopolitics that some people might find them boring, but they're very important when it comes to the scriptures, because this pertains to our salvation. All the things that are happening around the earth are predicated on, again, what the Most High He has set out in His divine plan, in His divine prerogative. So again, we have to continue to watch to see what's happening, even though it might not seem like things are shaking or things are. A lot of people they wait till the big thing happens. The nuclear bombs come out. Well, I guess when the nuclear bombs start falling, and that's when you decide to watch, it might be too late, right? So we have to continue to watch. But y'all got it, brothers.
Gone. Like the brother said, it might indeed be too late, right? So we're gonna get right into it, right? We're gonna get right into it. Today, Trump, he's declared today to be a so-called liberation day for America, right? And it's funny that he says that when this is actually the thing that's going to bring America to, destruction and to his knees, into the ground and the grave, right? So we're going to go right into it. I'm going to share my screen. Brothers, let me know if y'all can see it. Right? Let's see. All right, we should be good. Should be good. Can brothers see the screen?
Con.
Con. Right. So yeah, earlier today, and you can check this out. Earlier today, indeed, Trump, I believe it was like 5 o'clock. Now, if you don't notice, the markets they normally close at 5 o'clock, right? So the New York Stock Exchange, it opens at 9 a.m. and it closes at 5 p.m. every day, right? And sometimes there's futures trading that takes place slightly before, like it even says right there, it says extended hours. So this is real time after the markets had closed. You see, it's red. Now, anybody understands you know, that means that something is going down. Needless to say, Trump, he applied 25%. Actually, I want to get into it, right? We got the full list, I believe. We'll share it in a second. I want to read this post real quick. It says, "Bloodbath. It gets worse. U.S. stocks continue to plummet after Trump unveils sweeping tariffs." Now, tariff is a tax, right? Chiefly on another country. So it says futures tied to the Nasdaq 100 lost 4.7%. The S&P 500 futures dropped 3.9%, and the Dow Jones lost 2.7%. This is a nightmare. So I want to actually go into each and every one of want to show this list, right? Look at this guy. Let's share this, right? So it says President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. Now, what he's saying is he did these tariffs on these other countries because these countries have been placing, equal to or double the amount that he actually put on them, right? So, for example, he's saying that, I'm putting 10% tariff tax on Chile because they put 20% on American goods. India is double, 52%, right? Or yeah, it should be 52%, so on and so forth. So these are all the countries that he's placed these tariffs on, or just a list of them, right? So it has Israel, the state of Israel, 17%, China, 34%, and we'll come back to this. Japan, 24%, Turkey, 10%, Taiwan. The list goes on and on. This is in addition to the things that he already has placed on China, Mexico, Canada, being America's three biggest trade partners. Now, why is this so significant? I mean, well, essentially, any good that you're getting from China is now going to be raised 34%. Anything America is importing from Vietnam or any of these countries is being raised these prices. So the only way these countries can still make the profit or the money that they've been previously making is for what? They got to also raise their prices as well. And that's where you get inflation. That's where you get a loaf of bread previously costing $3, $4, now going up to $9, $10. You're going to see normal everyday commodities and goods that America imports into the country now being raised in the hopes that there's more local small businesses and things of that nature for them to also start to produce their own, and for America to be first. This is a concept that's not new, but this is what Trump has really been pushing. This make America great again, right? America first, dealing with America and not dealing with the other countries. Really being against how prophetically, right, speaking, this woman, this harlot is supposed to be. A harlot is not supposed to have her legs closed. A harlot has her legs open. In America, when you read Revelation 17, Revelation 18, that's that harlot that the Most High speaks about. You understand? I'm going to get this precept. This Revelation. Revelation chapter 17, and I want to get verse 1. It says, and there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Now, when you jump down, let's jump down to verse 15. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this great whore, which is Babylon, the mother of harlots, you understand? The abomination, you understand? This woman, she's sitting upon many nations. She's sitting upon many multitudes of men. You understand? This is why it's likened in the similitude of a harlot. Right? We don't have to go into great detail of what a woman that's harlots do. You understand already, right? The point is, this is how America gets down. Right? And America has opened their legs into all these different countries. And now, out the blue moon, Trump wants to put additional tariffs on all of these countries. This is the beginning of the fall of America. I mean, it's been falling, but these things right here, we're going to go into it. This is why you see the Great Depression trending right now. This is why you see the 401k plan trending right now. These Americans, they're losing their mind. They want to question about their 401k. They might want to pull the money out the 401k tomorrow morning on a Thursday, right? You see Trump, he's trending. You see the tariffs is trending. That's almost 1 million posts about the tariffs that Trump just dropped today. Now, again, there's no mistake these things are trending. Again, now, so let's continue on, right? So we see these different tariffs right here. It says 5 hours ago, Canada and Mexico are exempt. It should say are exempt from reciprocal tariffs for now. Now they voted. I was telling brothers a little bit ago. They just voted after Trump dropped this. The Senate, the U.S. Senate, they went behind closed doors and held a meeting against Trump and against his executive order that he signed, that we just saw the video of him signing. And they went to go sign in motion to reverse the tariffs that was against Canada. And from this post right here, it must be assumed that Mexico was a part of that as well. So now you got infighting. Now you got them not regarding the king, right? The so-called king of this land, which is the so-called president. Trump, and they're going up against the government is casting each other out, going against each other, which you know as so-called checks and balances, according to the society, where there's equal power split between the Congress, the executive branch, which is the president, the vice president, and his cabinet, and also the Supreme Court. That's just madness. It shouldn't be equal power. It should just be one ruler. And you see, the ruler of this land, he's evil, right? He's clearly evil to bring these things about, which is ultimately going to overthrow this land. We're here for it. We love it because this is what this is what we need. But at the end of the day, for the everyday average American, hey, this is a nightmare, like the post we read earlier. Did brothers want to go into this part, or did y'all have something else y'all wanted to go into?
I'll go into this because hold on, let me pull this up real quick. And these things are important because, like the brother said, this is contrary to how Babylon prophetically is supposed to move. That's a key point. Babylon is supposed to be for everybody. If you got ears to hear, they're supposed to be dealing with many nations. But with Trump doing this, Babylon, they're kind of getting what's the word, bougie. They're getting bougie, and they're excluding themselves. Excluding themselves from other nations who they used to do trade for, or trade with and for, and were very open, for lack of better terms. They're
Very
very
open.
open. Did brother say something?
Yeah, I said very open.
Oh, come. So I want to pull this up. Lord, I can get this up on my screen. Salakia. Hey, hold on. Let's see. Okay, come. And share screen.
Con, why you pulling it up, King? I'm gonna get this precept.
Okay, come.
Con, let me get this quick precept. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 46. It's like 26. Ezekiel chapter 26, and I'm gonna start at verse 16. Right? Because when you read the book of Ezekiel, when you're reading Salakia, when you're reading Ezekiel, when you're reading the book of Isaiah, right? You have the understanding that what is going on with this, right? You have understanding that America wrote. You have the understanding that there's a city known as Tyrus, right? You have Tyre, Zidon. They had two cities. They had the old city, which is on the coastline, right underneath of what you know as Lebanon, right? But you also have a new city of Tyre that was on the seashore, right? It was a damn near an island, right? And it was destroyed in 332 by Alexander. But nevertheless, the new city of Tyre, it was a chief trade port of the known world during that time, right? It would send ships back and forth to different countries. It would import, it would export, right? It was very similar to how America is today, how America thrives off the imports and exports. This is what keeps the economy going, right? It's not just based off of the things that you get from a small business. You're getting things from almost everything you have says made in China, made in Malaysia, made in Europe, right? Made in Japan. It's not. It don't say made in U.S. That's not what America's here for. America, like we said, is for the open trade, the free trade, commerce, capitalism. This is what this society has been built off of. You got other countries like China and you have Russia. They're more of a communistic society where things is more done in house, and that's how it honestly should be. But nevertheless, America has moved in the spirit of Tyre and Zidon, right? And we're going to read a quick precept. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 26 and verse 16. Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones and lay away their robes and put off their bordered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground and shall tremble at every moment and be astonished at thee. So why are they going to be astonished? Because when Tyree was destroyed, everyone that traded and got down with Tyree and Zidon, and guess what? They were also astonished because they are partakers of that. How much more those allies of America that's been getting down with America? As America's economy is about to collapse, what do you think is going to happen to them? If you invested into a company, when that company collapses, you collapse because your money is tied to it. How much more these different countries that have investments into America? And there's no country that has more investments in America more than China. China has $36 trillion invested that America is in debt to China. So when America collapses, what do you think is going to happen to China unless they have a backup plan? Their backup plan has been these different currencies, whether BRICS, right? The BRICS currency they're trying to create, or gold that they've been stockpiling over in their storehouses. But all that is going to mean nothing because Yahweh Shai is about to return. I'm going to finish this verse up. Verse 17. And they shall take up a lamentation for thee and say to thee, how art thou destroyed that was inhabited of seafaring men? And when you go into this word seafaring, it just means mariners, right? Those that's sailors and those that's operating amongst the sea. Continuing on, it says the renowned city, which was strong in the sea. And when you look it up, there's no country that has a greater naval base than America. They got the USS, what is that called? Theodore. They got all these different chief carrier ships that is able to deploy their aircraft, their navy base, so on and so forth. This is known as the strong city in the sea. Read on. She and her inhabitants, which caused their terror to be on all that haunted, now shall the isles tremble in the day of thy fall. Yet the isles that are in the sea shall be troubled at thy departure. So the Most High is about to bring a strong departure and a strong desolation upon America, being that seafaring city, that chief renowned city, that global trading city. And now these global tariffs is about to overthrow this economy. You got it, though, King.
Con, and that's the spirit. You kind of touched on this article. Why these other nations are going to be confounded. These other nations, they participate with America. They look to America as a partner, as a trade partner, as a country, to do trade, get rich off of, do these certain things. And these tariffs are jamming it up. It's creating bad relationships. Now it's instead of whatchamacallit, $10 to get into the party, it's $50. And these nations are throwing up their hands and saying, well, I don't got 50. And America's saying, well, you don't got 50, you can't party. So it's creating different fractions, between these countries. But let's read this. It says Trump to charge higher tariffs on worst offenders globally. It says President Donald Trump has announced new import taxes on all goods entering the U.S. in the biggest upheaval of the international trade order since the aftermath of World War II. His plan set a baseline tariff of 10% on all imports, consistent with his proposal during last year's White House campaign. Items from about 60 trade partners that the White House described as the worst offenders, the list of brothers reading before, including the European Union and China, face higher rates, payback for unfair trade policies, Trump said. Now here's the point. It said analysts said that the trade war escalation was likely to lead to higher prices for Americans and slower growth in the U.S., while some countries around the world could be plunged into recession. So now, not only, as we read right here, is this had the potential to affect Americans, make the economy slower, prices get higher, inflation increase more and more. You were complaining before, now you're complaining even more now. Not only that, but it has the ability to put countries into recession, plunge countries into secession. And that's a heavy thing when you think about it, that the estate, Slovakia, that the estate of the United States economy can plunge other countries into poverty. That's a heavy thing to think about, man. And that in itself could make a country turn against America, to hate the whore. Because like the brother said, we're not going to go too deep into things that go over harlot. But if a harlot was once very friendly, keeping it PG, was very friendly, but now started to get all mean. They're all set aside. They're charging more. They're being more reserved. They stop answering calls. A man that was dealing with the harlot, he's gonna start getting mad, man, and he's gonna start saying, "Well, what's going on? Why the price go up? Why is this? Why is that?" And start asking questions. And that harlot in their mind, they think that they're somebody when they're really not. That's America right now. And right now, America, through doing this thing, for doing these tariffs, is a threat to plunge other countries into a recession. So a lot of countries are looking at America like, well, hold up. We're tied together right now. Your fate is my fate. And if you mess this up for yourself, you're messing this up for me, man. Which is causing a lot of friction. Let's keep reading. It says, but in Wednesday's announcement at the White House, Trump said the measures were necessary because countries were taking advantage of the U.S. by imposing high tariffs and other trade barriers. And right now, and I'm going to get a quick precept. Right now, the Lord, he's stirring a spirit, within America. This is clear to see. Clear to see. A spirit is being stirred in America, of division, of wanting to buck up, of not doing the right thing. Let's get this real quick. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 3, the classic. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. So right now, the Lord, he created a spirit within Egypt, Egypt being Babylon, that everything is going to fail in the midst thereof. When you see the things that are going on, the thing that the things that Trump is doing, all you can see, from a spiritual eye, is failure on the other end of it. Those brothers up here with a spiritual eye, we understand that there's nothing good that comes from this. There's nothing good with starting a trade war with China. There's nothing good with starting a trade war with all the small countries that do trade with you, and given the possibility to plunge them into recession. But we understand that Trump, he's going to continue to do this. Why? Because he hasn't fulfilled prophecy, man. So we understand that right now there's a spirit in America that's caused them to err in every work, that's caused them to do things that don't make sense, head scratchers, and things that are going to ultimately lead to the destruction of America. And we're here for that. Let's keep reading. It says, on the article, it says, declaring a national emergency, the Republican president said the U.S. have for more than 5 decades been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. And that's complete hypocrisy. Complete, this being a complete hypocrite, that that America has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations. Now, what did they do? What did these Edomites do to the tribe of Gad and Reuben when they came over and looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered the entire tribe of Gad and Reuben, along with the other northern kingdom that was scattered in these lands?
Right.
I mean, and that's the Lord doing this, man. So Lord willing, they can, man, and this statement made me mad. That's just being a complete hypocrite. It says both friend and foe alike, like how they were friend and foe to us too. It says it's our declaration of economic independence, Trump said in the Rose Garden against a backdrop of U.S. flags. The White House said the U.S. will start charging the tariffs 10% on the 5th of April, with the higher duties for certain nations starting on the 9th of April. So America right now, they're gearing into being American first, showing themselves out and, taking care of themselves. But America doesn't know this. When they do that, they're going to get the other nations hot, man. And we know the prophecy, man. These other nations, they have to hate the whore, man. They have to. And they have to despise the whore and come against her. So them doing this is a clear indication of this thing, of that prophecy, coming to pass, man. Because there's no one that's going to hate them more than a country that got plunged into a recession because Trump is being headstrong and putting tariffs and closing off certain ability to trade with countries. Why? Because he feels like America has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far. And that's complete hypocrisy. Complete. But come, the brother, you got it, King. Yeah, I was just wanted to share that. Again, the fate of America is intertwined with other nations. Through what they're doing, it can definitely lead to the recession of other countries. But Khan, you got it, Ken.
Yeah, no, and Khan, just and that's a perfect segue because that's exactly what I was going to go into. Is that these tariffs are making a lot of people, a lot of nations angry, and nations that America shouldn't want to make angry because these are people that they have alliances with, people that they have contracts, and people that they're supposed to be partners with, and they're going out of their way to anger these different nations that again that they're allies with, right? Just like you said, and I was going to get that precept, and I'm gonna get it now. In Revelation 17 and verse 15. Yeah, I'm gonna start at 15. It says, "And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." Verse 16. "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." Right? So we know that the horns on this beast represent what? The NATO, the EU, and this whole new, what do they call it? New Roman Empire that really that what's it called? That Babylon is a part of. Even though it's the whore that rideth upon the beast, in other places like Daniel, you see that this is just another horn amongst the other ones that grew up. But
Hey, King, you muted.
Yeah, I think you muted that.
damn,
It just happened.
oh, it just happened. Okay, so
Yeah.
where your what the
After you spoke about Daniel,
well, okay. In Daniel, you'll see that it talks about America being the what is the eighth horn, or
the
it's
little horn.
the little horn, right? So it's all a part. They're all the same thing, right? America came out of Britain. It came out of the European Union, right? So, like the brother was reading in his article, Trump said that the key offenders was who? It said the European Union, and this is who's supposed to be the top ally of America, right? And they're making America angry. I mean, they're America's making them angry because, like the brother said, that's America's their key ally. They don't exist. They can't exist if it wasn't for America. And I got an article that I want to share. Let me share this real quick. Which one is it? This one. Let me know if y'all brothers can see it. Y'all can see it.
Con, you should be good now, okay?
Okay, count. Now, I'm gonna start at the top and I'm gonna go down. But it says U.S. President Donald Trump, so like, let me get this out of the way, announces a 10% minimum baseline tariff for all imports into the U.S. Like brother was just reading about, saying that this will create a hard reset on the country's industry, eventually leading to a stronger economy and lower prices for U.S. consumers. So like, it says Trump's tariff, and this is the point. It says Trump's tariffs triggered immediate anger with U.S. ally Australia. And you look at Australia. Australia is not part of the a part of NATO or EU, but they give it another name, something, some kind of partner who's supposed to be close with America, right? So Trump's coming in and he's undoing all these things that the Biden administration before them, the Obama administration, he's turning everything on his head. And now all these different allies that are relying on America, like the brother said, they're getting angry with America because America isn't no little dog in the race, right? They're one of the top three. They're one of the three superpowers on the earth right at this moment right now. So these other countries that rely on America, they're really upset with what's going on, and they're allies with America. So we're going to keep reading. It says with U.S. ally Australia blasting them as unwarranted, and Italy. And who's Italy? That's Rome. That's one of the key contributors in the EU. Calling them wrong with other countries have already vowed retaliation. We're going to go into who these other countries might be. Now let's go down. Let's see if I can find it. Salaki, bear with me because my thing's acting a little slow. The brothers want to say something while I'm
Con.
finding it.
I was actually going to say, as we speak, about 30 minutes ago, because China, they're ahead of us, right? They're already in Thursday. I forget exactly how many hours they're ahead. I don't know if it's a 12 hours or not, but either way, I'm going to pull this up on the screen a little bit later. But they made an immediate announcement. The China's Commerce Ministry said that China strongly opposes the move that Trump had did and will firmly take countermeasures to safeguard its own measures. "Quote unquote, there is no winner in a trade war and protectionism leads nowhere. China is urging the US to immediately remove unilateral tariffs and resolve differences with trade partners through dialogue." So they saying, look, you either going to change this or something going to happen. You got it, King.
But here it is right here. There's a couple of different articles in this Al Jazeera page that I want to read into. But it says Italian Prime Minister says U.S. tariffs on EU wrong. And now again, the EU, NATO, America, they're supposed to be in lockstep with one another because again, they're all part of this beast. Even Yahweh Shai says a kingdom that is divided is how can it stand? It's going to fall, and you can see that this whole kingdom is falling apart at the seams as we speak, and it's through the divine prerogative of the Most High. Right? It says Italian Prime Minister Giorgia, or however you say it, Meloni has criticized new U.S. tariffs on imports from the European Union and urged a deal, warning a trade war would only weaken the West. And again, the West is the EU, NATO, America. That's what they call the West. So she's even saying that if you weaken us, that weakens you. Because again, they're one of their biggest trade partners. It says the introduction by the US of tariffs towards the EU is a measure that I consider wrong and that does not suit either party, she said in a statement posted on social media. We will do everything we can do, Salakia. We will do everything we can to work for a deal with the United States, aiming to prevent a trade war that would inevitably weaken the West in favor of other global actors. So she's even saying, listen, if you do these different trade tariffs and think that's just going to allow all these other players like Russia, like China, like North Korea to come in and overtake the West as the top power on earth. It says we will do. I just read that. It says she said Rome would discuss the issue with other European partners, adding that either way, we will act in the interest of Italy and its economy. You see that? So it's even Italy and the prime minister, she's kind of separating what the US got going on and what Italy got going on now. She says we're going to act in interest of Italy and its economy. We not America, not these other European Union countries, but we're going to act in interest of Italy. So you can see again that this whole kingdom is starting to divide because this is what the Most High said was going to happen, like we just read in Revelations, the 17th chapter. I got a couple more. I might just get one of them. Let's see if I can find it. It's starting to act slow again. Hopefully I didn't pass it. I think I passed it.
Yeah, that's definitely heavy for her speaking like that. Most High willing something. This continues on, and he doesn't try to backpedal like he's been doing. Trump need to stand firm.
Right.
Press that button, Trump. Stand 10 toes
Right.
for the tariffs.
This is the one I wanted. It says Canada to impose countermeasures on U.S. Prime Minister. So this is, again, Canada is part of the NATO, right? It's part of this whole kingdom that, again, is supposed to be in lockstep with one another. And now they're going to impose countermeasures to counter what the U.S. has already done. So you got infighting in this kingdom. You can't look at the U.S. and the EU, and you got to look at them as one because again, this beast that we're talking about. So you got to look at them as one and see that they're fighting amongst each other because again, this is what the Most High, this is his plan in the last. This is part of his movie, right? So it says Mark Carney has told reporters that Canada will fight Trump's tariffs with countermeasures. It's essential to act with purpose and with force, and that's what we will do, he told reporters before a cabinet meeting to discuss Canada's response. The tariffs announced Wednesday did not directly affect Canada, which already faces 25% tariffs on all goods outside of the US Mexico Canada trade agreement. See that? So they got 25%. That's not small. It says Trump imposed those tariffs to pressure Canada to stem fentanyl flows into the US despite only a tiny fraction of opioids entering via the northern neighbor. So again, you can see these things happening. And you can see, again, you can read these things in the scriptures about how the horns on this beast are going to start hating this horror because, again, they rely on, like the brother was just going into, they rely on America for trade and for the economy. When the U.S. economy falls, that's the fall of the European Union economy. So they have vested interests in what the U.S. is doing right now. And one more thing, I want to read this real quick. It says French wine spirits sales in U.S. expected to fall 20%. And this still goes into it, right? This still goes into because France is part of the EU. It says exporters include LVMH, which owns Moet et Chandon Champagne and Hennessy Cognac. So all you brothers and sisters that drink Hennessy, hey, the price is going up. It says as well as Pernod Ricard and Remy. So that's what Jake like to drink. That's what we like to drink. Remy, Henny, the price is going up. But brothers got it.
Slocky King, I think they kind of got you frozen on there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it right there. We're gonna get you back, though. Don't worry about that. But yeah, that's Satan. It's all good though. But let me get this precept though, right? Because we bring it out a lot, right, through the spirit, and I think the brother back, and again, these things line up. I'm gonna get this precept. I want to get this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse number 9, right? And it reads, Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, "The thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." Right? So the things that we seeing that we're bringing out, this isn't new, right? It may be taking place right now on the earth, but it's not necessarily new because these things have happened in times past. And we actually titled the video. Let me see what go back to it again. I put urgent, the new Great Depression. Now, for those who don't know, the Great Depression, it took place between the years of 1929 up until World War II, right? 1942. So it was years of economic hardship, and it was expedited because of the tariffs that was placed on the country, right? Or it's like on the other countries. So I'm actually pull this up on the screen. Again, this isn't something that's new, right? This is things that's taken place in times past, right? And it just so happens that the Most High is using Trump to bring about these exact same things once again, right? I want to share this on my screen, right? Most High willing, everyone can see this, right? So this is very important for us to keep watch and take note of. So this is something. First off, let me get this actually instead, right? I'm gonna get this first. So if you see on the screen, there was something known as Black Thursday. Black Thursday, October 24th, 1929. Let's check this out. So it says Thursday, make sure this is sharing. Can't we good? So it says Thursday, October 24th, 1929, the first day of the stock market crash of 1929. A catastrophic decline in the stock market of the United States that immediately preceded the worldwide Great Depression. So the stock market collapsed and then it brought into a worldwide Great Depression. We just read that these countries, they're dependent on America. America's put himself in a position where they're the top dogs, right? Where the countries, they rely on America because they're importing, they're exporting. America relies on other countries. So how much more if the economy tanks, and it is tanking right now, right? I want to go into it. See if I can pull this up real quick, and we'll come right back to this. Let me look this up right now. Gold prices, right? What price of gold right now? Now the significance, what I'm about to show you, because anytime the gold price raises, that just shows that the American dollar is collapsing. This is gold measured up against the US dollar. The only reason why this price will be high is because more people are taking their US dollars and plunging in it and investing into gold. The higher gold is, the lower the dollar is. Right? That's basic, that's simple, right? So as you see, gold is at an all-time high. Let's look at all time. Gold has never been this high. This is the highest it's been. 3167. This is the highest gold has been. You see the numbers. See it on your screen. All time, right? And Baba Gasha, right? Look this up, right? Gold. This is the highest gold has been. Well, since it's been tracked, I'll put it like this, right? I'll retract that statement. Since it's been tracked by the so-called known world that you know of right now, right? We're not talking about the ancient world, because there's no record on that necessarily. But as far as being tracked in this age that you live in, this society you live in, this is the highest it's been. Right? So let's go back to this. I want to go back to Black Thursday. Salaki, Black Thursday, right? So it says that stock market crash, also called the Great Crash, is still considered the worst one in history. After share prices on the New York Stock Exchange, which had been trending upward for almost a decade, dropped 4.6% on Thursday. Well, hold on now. I believe I showed, I'm going to show this again. I want to show this one more time if I could find it real quick. Gold, or not gold, but the US dollar um stock market exchange, right? The stock market. Let me pull this up first. Right, I want to share the screen. Lord willing, you can see it on the screen. Let's find this real quick. I believe I shared this a little bit earlier. Where is this at? Okay, I might not have. I believe we shared this earlier though, right? There we go. There we have it. 3 hours ago, right? It says the U.S. stocks continue to plummet after Trump unveils sweeping tariffs. Futures tied to the Nasdaq 100 lost 4.7%. The S&P 500 futures dropped 3.9%, and the Dow Jones lost 2.7%. This is a nightmare. We're reading right here, and mind you, this just took place on Thursday, right? It's like this is Wednesday, right? In about an hour on the East Coast time, you'll have us enter into so-called Thursday. But let's go back over to what took place in 1929. It says, after share prices on a New York Stock Exchange, which had been trending upward for almost a decade, dropped 4.6% on Wednesday, October 23rd. Nearly 12.9 million shares were traded the next day, exceeding the previous record number of trades in a single day by almost 4 million. There's no coincidence this has taken place before. There's no coincidence that very specifically, and we want to get, because it's more, we want to bring out, right, on this. Again, it's all of the Most High. The Most High can have it tomorrow, Thursday morning. It opens up at 9 a.m. on the East Coast time, and the damn economy is doing the greatest it's ever done. The Lord can have it do that if he wanted that. But you will be foolish to also think that it very well couldn't go the other way, especially when you know the Most High requires that which is past. I'm going to finish this out in Ecclesiastes. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, and verse number 9. And I'll put it again. I'll make this disclaimer one more time. The Most High can do whatever he wants to do. If the Most High wanted to go the other way and the economy succeeds after America just put all these global tariffs on all of the enemies and allies of America, America is built off of global trade, and instead it wants to collapse the global trade, then, it's all of the Most High. All praise Yahweh Shem Shai. At the same time, all praise Yahweh Shem Shai, if it does collapse, because we know it's prophecy that either way it's going to happen. Whether it's tomorrow, next week, next month, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, whenever the Most High wants his will to be done, it's going to be done. I'm going to read on. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 9. The thing that had been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had been already of old, which was before us. So the things that we see that's taking place in the earth, they've already been before us. Right? We just going back. Essentially, history is repeating itself. That's just how it goes. Right? So let's continue on. It says stockbrokers with telephones, right, and ticker tape could not keep up with the extraordinary volume of trade requests from stock shareholders, resulting in delayed and incorrect reports. It says, which exacerbated widespread panic and confusion. Police were dispatched to the New York Stock Exchange to quell potential rioting, while Wall Street executives tried to reassure the public. So you had they had something known as the Roaring 20s, where you had the early 20s, all the way up until 1929, where the economy was booming, right? It was doing its thing. It was booming, right? Then you had what you know as Black Thursday, which took place after the decline on that Wednesday. It opened up on the Thursday, things was going down. Then you had the Monday and the Tuesday, known as Black Monday and Tuesday, and that's where the economy and the stock market completely crashed in 1929. But that wasn't the end of it. I want to share something else, right? Because again, we just going back in the things that's been is that which shall be, and there's no new thing under the sun. Now you looking on the screen, you see something known as a smut Hardly or Hawley, however you pronounce that, Tariff Act, right? It's the Tariff Act of 1930, 1 year after the stock market had crashed. So it says it was signed by President Herbert Hoover on June 17th, 1930. The act raised U.S. tariffs on more than 20,000 imported goods. Let's check this out. It says excluding duty-free imports when enacted, the tariffs were under the act. It's like the tariffs under the act were the second highest in the United States history, exceeded by only the tariff of 1828. The act prompted retaliatory tariffs by many other countries. And as we were showing you and letting you know, as a brother was bringing out his point, right? I want to share this on the screen once again. Actually, first I'm gonna get this, right? It's about 15 hours ago. This is before Trump did what he did. This is a report. You can check this article out, right? Reliable and trusted source, Watcher.guru. It says trade wars. China restricts companies from investing in the U.S. Well, hold on. When the hell did China get so much power to tell these other countries or companies, hey, don't invest in the U.S.? Now, chiefly, they're talking about their companies, but nevertheless, this is big news where now they kind of calling the shots, saying, look, you're not going to invest in the U.S. Now, I also had something else. I believe I had reposted this. Salakia. Most I will and I had reposted this. Okay, I didn't. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick on the screen. Right, let me make sure get this on the screen real quick. Because this is big news, right? This is big news that's taking place right now in the earth. Let's check this out. I'm going to refresh real quick. Should be good. Right, so there you have it on the screen. So this Global Times News, you can check this out as well. It says, in response to U.S. announcement of reciprocal tariffs on all trade partners, China's Commerce Minister said on Thursday that China strongly opposes the move and will firmly take countermeasures to safeguard its own interests. Quote unquote, there is no winner in a trade war, and protectionism leads nowhere. China urges the U.S. to immediately remove unilateral tariffs and resolve differences with trade partners through dialogue, a ministry spokesperson said. So this took place for us 10:16 p.m. So let's go back to this real quick, right? Because again, after Hoover put out these tariffs, it prompted other countries to have retaliatory tariffs. It says the act and tariffs imposed by the US's trade partners in retaliation were major factors in the reduction of American exports and imports by 67% during the Great Depression. So I'm gonna jump down. I don't want to get all of this, right? I just want to get right to it. You can check this out on your own as well, right? Baba Kashad, check it out. So I'm gonna jump down to, damn, what did I see earlier? I believe this is what I want right here. Yeah, I'm gonna get this right here. It says most of the decline in trade was due to a plunge in GDP in the U.S. and worldwide. However, beyond that was an additional decline. Some countries protested and others also retaliated with trade restrictions and tariffs. American exports to the protesters fell 18%, and imports to those who retaliated fell 31%. Threats of retaliation by other countries began long before the bill was enacted into law in June 1930. So these threats of doing this was before the bill in 1930. It said long before, right? Let's continue on. It says, as the House of Representatives passed it May 19th, or it's like May 1929, boycotts broke out. So essentially, they passed these tariffs before the stock market collapsed later that year in October 1929. Reading that again, it says it right there. That's why it says threats of retaliation by other countries began long before the bill was enacted into law in June 1930, as the House of Representatives passed it in May 1929. It was just that the president officially put it in motion. So these things, again, are repeating itself. As we see Trump, he just put this, essentially, he's putting America at the threat of collapse, right? Completely. Let alone did he do it on a Wednesday, and the stock market had collapsed, which is still the worst collapse of the stock market, known as the Great Depression, in 1929. And you looking at it, damn near about to happen again. Most are willing it happens again. Low willing about what? 8 hours, 9 hours. You check on your phone right after you throw the prayer up, right? You wake up out your bed, you throw a prayer up. You might want to go brush your teeth, right? Get the crust out your eyes. You check your phone and you see red. You don't see green and the economy's going up. You want to see that them lines go down. Let's continue on. Where's the last part? It says in May 1930, Canada, the most loyal trading partner for the U.S., retaliated by imposing new tariffs on 16 products that accounted altogether for approximately 30% of U.S. exports to Canada. Later, Canada also forged closer economic links with the British Empire, the EU, via the British Empire Economic Conference of 1932. France and Britain protested and developed new trade partners. Germany developed a system of trade via clearing. So these things, right? The Most High is bringing it once again on the earth. It is very important that we're keeping watch because, again, it's no mistake. The U.S. dollar is going up. Damn, all hell's getting ready to break loose, right? I want to share this other report real quick, and then I'm gonna pass it to a brother, right? Last thing I had on this economy. So something that's going down right now, if you don't know, is first off, in 2008, you had the great, they had this, they called it just a recession, right? A recession in 2008. But the reason why that took place is because between 2006 and 2007 of 2006 and 2007, the real estate market was at its all-time high of just people not being able to pay for their mortgage. Essentially, the banks were the realtors and different companies that were creating houses and building houses. It was a surplus of people not buying them. Therefore, these banks started to allow people to buy houses with 0% down on the for the payment to be able to buy a house, right? Just getting people in the door to stimulate the economy. It didn't work out like that. So you had a bunch of houses just sitting on the market, and this is tied to a lot of banks. Fast forward a year later, after 2007, 2008, you have a bunch of companies, major banks and companies had collapsed because of the housing crisis in 2006 and 2007. Now you see on the screen, this is from Fred, right? The economic data, right? If you're checking it out, this is the U.S. Census Bureau, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development via Fred. This is throughout, its time being reported, the highest peak of new one-family homes for sale in the United States was in 2006, as you're seeing right now. 2006, 2007, and like I just broke down through the history, you had what happened in 2008. You had the collapse, right? What are we looking at right now? This is modern day time, right? 2025. This is second highest all time of houses just being sitting on the market, and no one's buying them. No one's buying them. Again, the Most High said, "The thing that which has been is that which shall be, and there is no new thing under the sun." You looking on the screen. This is a tweet from Nick Gerler, however you pronounce his name. It says it's beginning to look a lot like 2008, at least for home builders. I took this picture outside a home building site 45 minutes north of Tampa. They had over 20 vacant spec houses completed for sale and are advertising 0% down mortgages to try to move the inventory. This is complete madness. They're offering 0% down, just getting people in the door because they're making and creating too many houses that's tied to these banks. We know what happened in 2008. You're looking at it about to happen again in 2025. But brothers got it.
Con, I got a quick precept. And all the things we're bringing out, as Israel should know, these are things that affect America's economy. This is Isaiah chapter 23, and I'm gonna start at verse. Let me start at verse. Salaki. I want to get straight to the point. Salaki. I'm gonna start at verse 11. I'm gonna start with verse 9 actually. Con Isaiah 23 and verse 9. Now, when you read Isaiah 23rd chapter, it's the judgment that the Lord proclaimed against Tyre. And like the brother said before, America, it moves in the spirit of Tyre, man. Through the spirit, America is Tyre. Why? Because they get down, with the same tactics and economy base that Tyre did. This is Isaiah 23 verse 9. It says, I'm going to start with verse 8. It says, who have taken this counsel against Tyre, the crowning city, whose merchants are princes, whose traffickers are the honorable of the earth. And right now, when you understand America, the top men, are always selling something to the public. They always own companies. These Rockefellers, these different high ranking people, they all own things. They all sell things. They're not a king or a prince, just off of status or off of might and war or off of fame. These men, they sell things. These men, they own the banks. They own the money. They own the Federal Reserve. They own these different things, and they sell the American public, the stuff that they use, and they monopolize it. That's the word I'm looking for. Let's keep reading. It says, the crowning city, whose merchants are princes, whose traffickers are the honorable of the earth. The Lord of hosts had purposed it, to stain the pride of all glory, and to bring into contempt all the honorable of the earth. So right now, the Lord, he has a trap set for America, man. And the things that we're bringing out, man, these are the traps that are going to ensnare, the honorable, meaning the rich and the merchants of America. It's going to snare them up and bring them down. Let's keep reading. It says, pass through that land as a river, O daughter of Tarshish. There is no more strength. He stretched out his hand over the sea. He shook the kingdoms. The Lord hath given a commandment against the merchant city to destroy the strongholds thereof. So the Lord, like we brought out before, these things, they might seem small. They might seem, well, where's the big thing? Where's that? Where's that? 100%. But these things are chipping away at the stronghold of America. What's the strongholds of America? Their economy and also their armies. Their military strength. And right now, the Lord is chipping away at the economy and the way of the way the America conducts merchandise. He's chipping away at it, man, and slowly taking it all the way away. So America is only gonna have the military might to rely on, man. And we know when that comes to play, man, they're gonna get utterly schooled. So when we see these things, it's all praise to the Most High because it's slowly chipping away at the stronghold of America like it was prophesied to, man. So all praise to the Most High. I just want to bring out that precept out. I don't know if you want to move on to the next topic.
Con, did y'all have anything else on this?
We can move on.
Con, what's on you, Yazra?
We'll just go into China Taiwan situation. You can go ahead and jump in there and lead it off.
Con, Salakia. Damn, I was on mute. Yeah, Con. So definitely continue to keep watch over this economic situation, right? It's a very big deal that's going down, and it's going to directly impact your pockets, right? I'm gonna get the quick precept. This isn't just about America, right? It's also going to impact you. Now, if you've been laying up your riches, right, in the kingdom of heaven, then you have no worries, right? You should have no worries. I'm gonna get this precept. This is the book, Salakia. Get this in the book of Haggai, right? This is the book of Haggai, chapter 1, and I'm gonna start at verse 5, right? Haggai chapter 1 and verse 5. Now therefore, I'll start at verse 4. It says, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? So our people, we were moving in the spirit of living lavishly, right? Specifically the princes, the kings, right? The rulers of our people. They were moving in a lavish spirit and not worrying about Yahweh Shem Shai. Right now, our people could be doing the same thing, right? You could be worrying about financial growth in this society, right? Worrying more about your own and not building up the house of the Lord on a spiritual level. You want to make sure you're keeping your mind on the Most High. Verse 5. Now therefore, thus said the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. So we all need to consider our ways. We need to consider, right, the things that the Most High has appointed for this world. We need to consider the things that the Most High has appointed for us, and we're not serving Him, and we're not being fervent in the spirit, right? We got to continue to fight against the spiritual demon Satan, right? You got to continue on pressing forward and consider your ways. Verse 6, ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, and there is none warm. But he, it's like, and he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. So we understand that there is nothing in this society for us. It never was. Whether you're trying to invest in certain things, hey, that's all you got to count it for naught at the end of the day, right? We understand that. Actually, I'm gonna get the precept. I don't want to just quote it. I want to get this precept in Second Ezra, right? The Lord said this in Second Ezra chapter 16, and I want to get verse 45. I start at 42. I start at 41, right? Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 41. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away. So you may have a business, or you may have certain things going for yourself, but the Lord said you got to be as one that fleeth away. Because at the end of the day, we're using the world, but you're not abusing the world. And you damn sure don't want to abuse the grace that the Most High has given you. He didn't give us the grace to live lavish in this society, to live it up, to be rich, to be billionaires, trillionaires, trying to stock up them every dollar and hide it under your mattress. Nah, the Lord he's not getting down like that. All that's going to burn and it's going to be moth eaten. Like you read in the book of James, the 5th chapter. It's going to mean nothing. So let's read on. Verse 42. It's like reading on verse 41. And he that buyeth as one that will lose. So you need to count it all loss, right? In this society, as you're getting, as a gain that you're accumulating is Yahweh Shai. You count the world as a loss when you gain Yahweh Shai. When you count the world as a gain, meaning you accumulating, you trying to plant your flag in the world. If you have ears to hear, that's your foundation, that's your blueprint, that's what you live by. Then guess what? You don't have Yahweh Shai in you. And you got to remember that. The Lord said he chose to pour out of this world rich in faith in James chapter 2, verse 5. The Lord said it's a light thing all of a sudden to turn a poor man rich. So never think that this money is going to mean nothing or you should be worrying about it and putting too much stock into it. You got to do what you got to do and so on and so forth, especially if you have a family. But at the end of the day, it's all going to mean nothing. And that's really the spirit that the Most High has, allowed us to be able to have this Watchmen Wednesday. It's been a little bit of time since we was able to get into it, right? But all praise to the Most High that the Lord allowed us to do so and warn you, give you another warning to not worry about this money, right? You may lose a job, you may gain a job, you may lose. At the end of the day, as long as you believe in the Most High, you'll never lose. Let's read on. Verse 42. He that occupied merchandise as he that had no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. So you got to remember, when that time comes and the lights are shut down, they damn knocking at the doors. Hey, don't go run and grab that bug out bag or go grab whatever you got on your mattress and think that's going to protect you. And you got to remember, at the Most High, he's going to be your defense. The Lord's name is as a strong tower, pursuing the Proverbs 18 and verse 10. You want to run in the shadow of the Most High. Psalm chapter 91. You want to lean into Yahweh Bashim Shai and cleave unto him and set the Most High at your right hand so you don't fall. So you want to always trust in the Most High no matter what you're dealing with. And when his economy collapses, you're going to need wisdom and knowledge to be the stability of their times and strengthen your salvation. So we got to lock in and remember all these precepts. So I'm going to rest right there. I want to get Yatazma, did you have anything you wanted to bring out?
Yeah, Khan. I was gonna. I was through the spirit. I'm guessing you're going to the topic on Iran.
Khan.
Iran.
Khan.
Khan. If you don't mind, I'll kick us off.
Khan.
All praise the Most High. So if brothers and sisters didn't know, there's been some heavy talks with Trump against Iran for the supposed nuclear activity and the things that they're doing. He's threatening bombings, tariffs. Let me share the screen. Bombings, tariffs, and everything underneath the sun against so-called Iran. So let me just. Can you see my screen?
Khan.
All praise the Most High. And on top of this, Russia, they're getting involved and putting this into this thing, man. We titled the video, I believe, of if I'm not mistaken, World War III has officially begun. Things are always heating up in the global aspect concerning war. Everything is heating up. Sides are being placed. Certain people are clicking up. Other people are making what's the word I'm looking for? Making treaties and pacts and covenants and things are being set into place, to conduct what it has to happen according to prophecy. So let's read this. It says Russia warns against U.S. strike on Iran nuclear sites. They said catastrophic. Let's read it. And slock it. Oh, calm. There we go. Calm. I'm gonna jump to right here. It says rising tensions between Iran and the U.S. have reignited concerns of the potential for military conflict. U.S. President Trump and Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei have escalated the tone of their remarks, intensifying the standoff over nuclear program. Trump has reinstated his maximum pressure campaign, which has led to the reimposition of strict sanctions in order to weaken Iran's economy. and stop its nuclear program, Iran has refused direct negotiations under pressure, but said indirect negotiations were possible. So right now things are heating up, man. Like it says, there's rising tensions. And what is the importance of these rising tensions? The importance is knowing who Iran is and their allies is according to prophecy. Let's get a quick precept. If I'm not mistaken, we went through this before, but this will be a quick refresher course. Second Ezra chapter 15. I'm gonna start at verse 28. It says, "Behold, an horrible vision in the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and trouble." Now the dragons of Arabia are those that are allied with Iran. All these Arab nations, Iraq, Iran. This is to name a few of them, but all these Arab nations, they all lead together. And real quick, I don't know if you can if a brother can pull up the alliances of the Arabs, the Arab alliance, while I have this pulled up, that would be mighty. So we can just read down the list. If a brother can get me real quick.
Con, I got you, King. I'm
Come
pulling up.
on. And when you get that, we'll read down the list. We're going to continue to read in Second Ezra. It says, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, that the Persians, which will also be the so-called Arabs or Ishmael today, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and they shall lay waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. So we know about a certain group called the Dragons of Arabia. We know about the part in prophecy. The Lord said that there's gonna be Dragons of Arabia that are gonna come from the east and cause people to fear, man. Now, how is this important? Now, if Iran and the U.S. are getting into battles, getting into former sanctions, tariffs, threats, the importance of that is that they're gonna have other countries to join them, man. These other countries, being in alliance with them, are gonna set their face against America. Right now, we see already one country, Russia, that's taking Iran's side. Why? Because Iran and Russia, they're in alliance. But I don't know. Did you get pulled up yet, King?
Con, Salaki, King, he's on the screen.
Oh, Con, you shared it?
Yeah,
Oh,
he is on the screen. I can read it.
Con. Yeah, if you could read it real quick, that'd be
Con.
nice.
So there's something known as the Arab League, right? And we'll go into that in a second. But you have the Arab League and Iran relations. So it reads, the dynamic between the League of Arab States and the Islamic Republic of Iran has been ambivalent, right? Owing to the latter's varying bilateral conduct with each country of the former. It says Iran is located on the easternmost frontier of the Arab League, which consists of 22 Arab countries and spans the bulk of the Middle East and North Africa, of which Iran is also a part of, or a part. Now I'll read the countries in the Arab League, if that's what you want, King.
Con, if you can, Babu Gashar.
Con. So you have the Arab League is Algeria, Bahrain, Comoros, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, this country right here, right? Morocco, Oman, Palestine, Qatar. It's all listed on the screen.
Con,
You
all
got it.
praise. Saki, were you done, King?
Con, I say you got it.
Okay, Khan, yeah, all praise to the Most High, man. And those are all the countries, within that Arabian or Islamic alliance that will all formulate together if there's any military response against one of those countries. Now let's keep reading in this article. I don't know if it's still put up. Slucky, yeah, it is. Khan, let's read it. It says Trump threatened to bomb. Suck it. No, let me read right here. Yeah, come. Trump threatened to bomb Iran if it does not agree to a new nuclear deal. Tehran has rejected a U.S. proposal to engage in direct negotiations under maximum pressure policies. Threats are really hard, and ultimatums are also heard. We consider such methods inappropriate. We condemn them. Now, this is the point. It said Iran said it will have no choice but to seek nuclear weapons if attacked. So Iran, they're claiming if we get attacked, we're gonna amp up nuclear weapons. There's no gonna be it's not gonna be a stop. We're not gonna cease. It's not gonna be, well, hold up, America's attacking. They're coming in. Let's get on the good side. He said there will be no choice but to seek nuclear weapons if attacked. A senior advisor to Khamenei, Iranian Supreme Khamenei, said the U.S. has significantly increased its military presence in both the Persian Gulf and Indian Ocean. And we gotta ask ourselves, how much longer, until America is start clashing in these the Persian Gulf and the Indian Ocean, and getting mixed up with these different nations, man, getting mixed up with Iran. I mean, how long is it gonna take, man? Because right now we're already at odds. There's threats going on, and all it takes is one attack for all hell to break loose. And they say, look, if we get attacked, we're gonna seek nuclear weapons. And this could put down a common sense level. Bringing it down to this a smaller matter. What they're basically saying. Look, man. If you punch me in the face, I got a gun on me. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna shoot the street up, man. How Colonel Jake was saying the world, man, and what they'll do in the world. You might punch someone in the face and they say, "Well, I'm coming back with my gun." So Iran, they're talking heavy. They said, if you attack, if you bomb us, we're gonna seek nuclear weapons, and nuclear weapons aren't a joke. Those are the real deal. Once it's nuclear warfare, man, all things are up in the air. All the rules, everything is up in the air. Once it's nuclear weapons, that it's real. But let's keep reading. It says the U.S. in a move signaling heightened U.S. preparations for potential conflict. So right now, the United States, they're preparing for potential conflict. Why? Because these things are conflicting. That these things are they're threatening. America sees Iran as a threat. They see the dragons of Arabia as a threat. They see how they have a alliance with Russia as a threat. These things, they threaten America. And America, with Trump underneath the helm, they want to start pushing out, their own order. They want to push out, what they want to do, and get back on top how they once were, back in charge, where no man defied them, man. Where all the nations wonder at them, and they kind of let them do what they wanted to do. But right now, you got nations that aren't going for it. Let's keep reading. It says, in response, Iran has bolstered its missile capabilities, positioning advanced air defense systems around the Strait of Hormuz while ramping up military activities. Russia and China recently held naval drills with Iran in the Gulf of Oman, a strategic waterway. So again, Russia, China, Iran, they're all in league with each other. And on top of that, Iran is in league with these other Arab nations. These other Islamic nations, they're in league with too, man. Economically and military wise. So if war was to go down, or America was to stupidly attack Iran, And Lord willing, it happens. But if they were, you have a lot of nations, heavy hitters, that are going to be right there for Iran, to back them up. They're waiting for them. They're staying around. They're waiting for Iran to get hit, and they're gonna pitch in, and that's gonna be it. After that, it's gonna go downhill. It's never gonna get better. Let's keep reading. It says, despite an improvement in U.S.-Russia relations under Trump, they show signs of strain after Trump threatened to impose secondary tariffs on nations that purchase oil from Russia if Moscow fails to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine. So Russia, they already have a problem with America. This might set them over the edge. There's a saying in the world. They say that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And right now, Russia and Iran, although not being two similar countries, they're completely different nations, completely different people, two different seeds. They're both the enemy of the United States, Babylon. So right now they're in league, and Russia already having a problem with America. They're gonna hear what Iran got going on, and they're gonna lick their chops and rub their hands and say, well, hold up, let's get some drills going. Let's get together. Let's do military activities. We might be able to help you out, and you can help us out. We got the same enemy. We need him gone. And these things are important again. Why? Because you gotta understand prophecy. Prophecy needs to come to play. You have to have the dragons of Arabia and the Carmenians come against America, come against the wage war, gather together. We need these things to happen, to fulfill prophecy. But Khan, you got brothers got if they got anything else on this.
Con, like we put in the chat, I actually had that article. I think the brother did too. But that's key. Like we read that Russia's coming to the defense of um of Iran, and that's again, like we read, that's in prophecy as well. I'm gonna pull up my screen. We're gonna go to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Now, when y'all said y'all do entire screen, right? We y'all can share.
Yeah, Khan.
Come on.
Khan.
Well, I do tab, but you can do the entire screen.
All right,
I do screen.
all right. We're gonna try the screen. Why ain't let me? Don't let me share the entire screen. I'm just gonna tab. All right. We're gonna go. Which tab I want? We're gonna go here. We're going to go to Ezekiel. Like the brother brought out in that article, that's not Iran doing the talking for themselves. That's Russia doing the talking. And again, we see that in prophecy that Russia, them and their king is going to back up a lot of nations leading into World War III, right? Leading to the last World War. And we're going to read about it. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." Right? And when you go into Gog and the land of Magog and the chief prince of Meshech, you can look at history and line it up. And the Magog is going into Russia. The word Meshech goes back to Moscow. So this is all prophesying about the final world's war, right? Gog and Magog coming up against the beast. It says, "And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal." And Gog is who? Is, like it says, the chief prince of Meshech. Now, we don't know who that is. It could be Putin, or it might not be Putin. It might be the next man in line. what's his name? Do you remember his name, Kasadia or Yatazamat? They call him something, but he really wants war. I forget his
You
name.
talking about Dmitry Medvedev?
Is that who it is? I forget. They call him something crazy. He got a bald head. He just looks like he wants war, and he's actually a person that's pushing Putin because Putin's pretty conservative by a lot of accounts. He doesn't really want to go to war, but these people behind him, these warmongers behind him, they want that button pushed, right? They want world war, and they want to put Babylon to the dust, right? But it says, "And say, thus saith the Lord God: Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws." Meaning what? The Most High is going to take control of them, right? And He's going to do His will, and He's going to use Russia and whoever God gives the chief prince of Meshach to do His will. It says, "And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." Here's the point. Here's the point. It says, "Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them shield and helmet." So what? It says Persia, and when you go into what Persia is the ancient name of that region, Iran. Right? You can look it up. Iranians, they even to this day call Iran Persia. So what? Persia is going to be confederate with Russia. And this is why you see Russia, every time something happens, they might not have a formal defense pact or defense um, contract, but you, like the brother just read in that article, China, Russia, and who? And Iran, they're doing military naval drills in that Strait of Hormuz. Why? Because this is all, again, prophecy leading into this third world war, leading into Armageddon. All these things are coming to fruition because these things were written way before us. This is all the Most High's plan. Again, this is all His movie, and these are all pieces that are being moved on this chessboard. It says, "All of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarma of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee." Watch this. It says, verse 7, "Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." So what? Russia's like in the back. They play in the back, and they're playing big brother. They're playing a guard to all these different nations, right? Because they have the firepower. They have the nuclear missiles. You see a lot of the missiles and a lot of the technology that Iran has, that North Korea has, is coming from Russia. You can read about that in different articles and different news and things of that nature. They're getting it from Russia. Why? Because they're playing guard, right? They're playing big brother. They're playing what's the word I'm looking for?
Protector.
Protector, things of that nature. That's the role of Russia until it's time for them to step on the main scene, to really push to really push that button against America and all these nations that are that are confederate with Russia. They're going to follow suit, right? Because again, they're playing protector, they're playing big brother, they're following Russia's lead, right? So they're playing a guard into these different nations, Persia or Iran being one of them. And this is why you can read about this right now, but this is written thousands of years ago. I got a article on the same topic.
I got a quick preset,
Yeah,
if you
go
don't
ahead.
mind. Book of Second Ezra, chapter 12, and I'm gonna start at verse 22, right? Because we always go into it, oftentimes, but Ezra is not writing something that is completely contrary to what Ezekiel was saying, or same thing with John, the Revelator, right? Uh, uh, Same thing with Isaiah. These different prophets, they're speaking in part, and they make up the bigger picture of a whole prophecy, which is of the Most High's word. So Ezra is writing; he's going to say the same thing in a way that Ezekiel just said. This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 12, and I want to give verse 22. I'm gonna get right to it. It says, "And whereas thou sawest three heads resting," this is the interpretation. right? These are three heads of the eagle, right? We understand that the eagle is oftentimes symbolic of being of the nation of Esau. So by default, these three heads are of the nation of Esau, right? These heads are representing kings. And it's going to tell you, verse 23, in his last days shall the Most High raise up three kingdoms and renew many things therein, and they shall have the dominion of the earth, right? These three kingdoms being of the nation of Esau. This isn't talking about China. This isn't talking about Turkey necessarily. This isn't talking about damn Japan, right? This isn't talking about, this specifically talking about the rulerships of Esau, right? Let's continue on. It says, and renew many things therein, and they shall have the dominion of the earth, and of those that dwell therein, which with much oppression, above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And we know the scriptures say, for Esau is the end of the world, Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Continuing on, verse 26. And whereas thou sawest that the great head appeared no more, it signified that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. The great head is none other than America. America is the chiefest kingdom of the Edomite kingdoms that's really ever been documented. Right there, they're Rome regenerated, Rome reincarnated, if you want to put it that way as well. They're Rome born again from the ashes, right? And they're moving in the same spirit. We know Rome was a great empire, right? Conquering, right? Even an extension of what you know as the Greco-Roman Empire, but nevertheless, America is above that, right? Above France, above Germany, above Russia, above all these other Edomite countries and kingdoms. But the Lord said they're going to die upon their bed, and yet with pain. Your bed is your comfort place. You're not expecting, things to go awry when you're damn in your bed. You're trying to rest. You're trying to sleep, right? You're at ease. When America's at ease, that's when America's going to be destroyed. And the Lord said, yet with pain. It's going to be all of a sudden, like you read Revelation chapter 18 and verse 10, in 1 hour. Read on verse 27. For the two that remain shall be slain with the sword, and it's like for the sword of the one shall devour the other, right? The European Union is going to be devoured by Russia, because the scripture specifically says that Russia will be the last Edomite kingdom in rulership. Read about that in Revelation chapter 17, verse 8 on down. Read about that in Revelation the 13th chapter, verse 2 on down. So America indeed will be destroyed, and it's going to leave the EU and Russia, but Russia is going to be the last one that we read about in Ezekiel, the 38th and 39th chapter. I'm going to finish this out. It says, but at the last shall he fall through the sword himself. And when you continue on in Ezekiel 38 and 39, that the brother was just bringing out, we understand that this is set up for Russia and his allies to be overthrown, right, via Yahweh Shai, right, the angels and the elect men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You got it though, King.
I wanted to bring out this article real quick. I ain't gonna go too much into it, but if you want to go read it, is you can see the spirit of the nations, and the spirit is war right now, right? And a lot of people thought, oh, Trump was going to get in office and there was going to be peace, but it seems as though he's exasperated that spirit of war in the world, right? So it says U.S. sends second aircraft carrier to Middle East as Trump threatens to bomb Iran, right? So they keep sending out these different warships and aircraft carriers to this Middle East because they know there's something about to happen, right? That you can't get around. There's no reason why we be sending all these different. They're taking different military equipment from different stages on the earth and putting it in this Middle East. In this, I think it's called, the Strait of Hormuz for a reason. It's not for no reason. They're picking up camp and putting it here. right? So it says the U.S. is increasing its military presence in the Middle East as a war of words between Iran and President Donald Trump over Iran's nuclear ambitions sent tension spiraling in recent days, right? Because again, like the brother was reading, they're telling Iran you can't have nuclear weapons, right? Maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago they would have been submissive to that, right? They would have bowed their neck to America. But these nations, again, they're not having it anymore. They're not. They're a lot of these nations. They're not scared of America anymore because they see how weak they are. They see their economy falling. They can see how they've been living luxurious, and now they're not built for the wars that they've been beaten up on smaller countries like Iraq or Yemen or all these different small countries. But now you have big players like China. You have big players like Iran that are backing up these different nations. So most of these nations, they're really not scared of America anymore. So they're not going to bend the knee to what Donald Trump got to say. Oh, you can't have nuclear missiles. Says who? Right? It says over Iran's nuclear ambitions sent tension spiraling in recent days. The Pentagon extended the deployment of the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier strike group and ordered a second flotilla to the Middle East. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell confirmed Tuesday. It also sent additional warplanes to the region, including F-35 fighters and B-2 stealth bombers, according to a U.S. official. The posture shift came as Trump threatened to bomb Iran if the country does not strike a deal over its nuclear weapon capabilities. Right? Like I said, America's been playing police superhero of the earth, but who actually asked them to be that? Who asked them to play police of the earth? Nobody. But it's like you read in Revelation 13th chapter, all these nations, they seen what America do with their nuclear missiles, right? They sent fire down from heaven. So all these nations, at one point, they was like, all right, America, they got it. But guess what? Guess what levels the playing field? If I got a nuclear missile. So all these nations, they're not scared of America's threats no more because they have something that levels the playing field. It says if they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, he told NBC in a phone interview on Sunday. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei hit back on Monday that while Iran believes a U.S. strike is unlikely, if they commit any mischief, they will surely receive strong reciprocal blow. You see that? So Iran, they're like they don't even believe that U.S. is about what they're talking about, and even if they are, they're going to get it back. That's basically what he's saying. So again, these nations, they're not scared of America, but you can see all these tensions heaping up in the Middle East where the Most High said this final war, this Armageddon is going to take place. And again, this is why we do this Watchmen Wednesday and start off by saying and telling brothers and sisters that they got to watch because you can see things. But yeah, the missiles aren't dropping yet, but there's things and pieces being moved in place to show you that these things are going to happen and they're going to happen soon and they're inevitable because again, these things were written before the beginning of time. But King, you got it.
Con, I want to make a quick point too. Like the brother was just saying, it's not wise, right? Or I don't want to use that word. Let's use a better word. What sense would it be to have to keep watch over something that's happening? You want to look at things before it happens. That's the point. That's the point of a watchman. Before someone's coming in to invade a city or try to overthrow, they're proclaiming out the things that's about to happen before it happens. That's what it means to keep watch. You're looking and you're examining things that's happening before it happens, or things that should be happening, I should say, um, before it happens in real time. Right? So when you're looking at these different things, like the brother said earlier, these nations are playing chess, not checkers. Things is being set up on a board and put into different positions to what they call have decapitation strikes. Like America right now, there's talks right now, and these talks have been being leaked. Right, generals, former retired military, they're actually upset that these talks have been leaked. That America is thinking about doing decapitation strikes on Iran and taking out their top leadership. That different nations, well, Slack it, yeah, America taking out the top guys of Iran or these other Arab countries, right? To pretty much, help their ally, the state of Israel, that's over in our land right now, pretending to be us. You understand? But to pretty much, help them out, given that all hell's about to break loose between Iran and Israel, the state of Israel. So, we until the Most High, shuts all things down, right? And all hell breaks loose. What you want to do is you want to continue to keep watch over these different things. They may be recurring, it may be tedious, even if you will, but it's very imperative that you do so. Did brothers want to go into any closing precepts or anything else you wanted to bring out?
No, that's okay.
I think get closing. You heard that?
Yeah, Con, it's on you, Con.
Oh, con. It's like it. Get quick precept. Another classic. In First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. It says, but of that above the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. And like brothers been saying, and like we'll continue to say, all praises the Most High that we're doing another Watchmen Wednesday. It's truly mighty that there's men and women that are up watching with us, dropping precepts, dropping things we might not have heard of. All praises the Most High. But in the time and the seasons, there should be no need for us to come on a video, every Wednesday and tell you what time we're living in. As a true servant of the Most High, you have to keep watch. You have to. Like the brother always says, as a rhetorical and obviously an obvious question, we're not, or a statement, we're not in the times of Moses or Noah. We're not waiting, for Moses to come down from the mountain. We're not in these times right now. We're in the times of the end. The times of the end of the world where the Lord is going to bring judgment upon the face of the earth. So there shouldn't be any need for us to say, hey, go watch. We'll continue to do it. But you being a diligent servant of Yahweh Shem Shai, you have to make sure that you keep watch. Why? Because it's going to come like this. Verse 2. That day is going to come like this. Verse 2. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. So when you're in this truth, you got to know perfectly within your spirit, your actions, and in your mind that the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Meaning you're not going to expect it, man. You're not. And like the brother brought out in his opening precept, you have to prepare for it. Otherwise, you'll be overtaken. Slakia. You'll be overtaken in the midst of the night. Why? Because you weren't prepared. And then the day of the Lord, it crept up on you. You weren't watching. You were asleep. You were drunk. You were there doing God knows what in the world. And the day of the Lord sneaks up upon you and overtakes you. And you get caught up. You get jammed up. Don't be that brother or sister, man. Always keep watch. Always watch out for these prophecies. Always keep your eyes on the kingdom. And none of these things are going to fail you, man. The day of the Lord won't overtake you, and you'll be prepared. You'll be one of those men, who Paul said that will come confidently into the grace of the Lord. Roughly paraphrasing. But Con, that's all I got, Kings. Y'all got it.
Like the brother said, you want to be prepared. You want to be ready because again, like the scripture says, you got to be like that man that was ready. that knew the thief was coming, and what he prepared himself. He might have had some booby traps, or he was awake and he had his gun, but whatever the case is, he made himself ready because he knew that thief was coming. We have to be like that person that knows that thief is coming, because what the scriptures say, these things are going to happen. Right? We can't be like somebody that's saying, "Oh," and we're going to read scripture. The scripture I got that, "Oh, it's 2,000 years in advance," or "It's 1,000 years." Can't act like that, because we can see the things. We can see the scripture playing out like it's a movie, literally right before your eyes. You just got to be. You got to be. You got to be willing to go and look for these things, because again, mainstream media, they're not going to plaster this on the TV and show you that these things are happening. That's no, they want to keep you confused. You have to go and search these things out so that you can make yourself ready, right? But this is Ezekiel 12 and verse 27. It says, "Son of man, behold, they of the house of Israel say, the vision that he seeth is for many days to come, and he prophesied of the Salaki of the times that are far off." Verse 28, it says, "Therefore saying to them, thus saith the Lord God, there shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the words which I have spoken shall be done, saith the Lord God." So the things that the Most High spoke thousands of years ago, they took 1,000 years to happen, but now we're living in a time where you can see it playing out. So again, we have to prepare ourselves and continue to watch unless these things take us like a thief in the night. But you got to keep.
Calm. Mighty breakdowns from the brothers. Brothers told the brother closing precept too. All praise to the Most High. But Khan, yeah, definitely. Man, it's a beautiful thing to see. The destruction of our enemies. The Lord spoke about that in the book of Sirach. But at the same time, you know, speaking as a man, you don't want to desire the day of the Lord and you're not getting yourself right. Right? We understand that all hell is about to break loose. So everyone that's tuned into this video, and us ourselves included, we want to make sure we're doing all we could do right before Yahweh Shai returns, because Yahweh Shai is going to see us face to face, and we want to make sure that we're able to stand in that day, right, and not be destroyed, right. But I'm gonna get this precept. This is the book of Amos, right? Amos chapter 4, and I want to get verse 12. Amos chapter 4 and verse 12. And it reads, Therefore, thus will I do unto thee, O Israel, and because I will do this unto thee, prepare to meet thy God, O Israel." Right, so Yahweh Shai is on his way to return. And him returning on this earth, you got to make yourself prepared. You have to prepare yourself. You got to get your mind right. You have to get yourself in order, and not just do it because the Passover is in 2 weeks or a week away. You're just about a week away, right? For those that's keeping it in the season that we're keeping it in. But you don't want to just do it just because, brothers are telling you to do it. You want to do it because you sincerely believe in the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai. So all hell's about to break loose on the earth. We understand that. And any man that has wisdom, right? The Lord said, "A wise man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself." So you see that the different things that's happening in the world, and you want to prepare to hide yourself, but you're not hiding from the Lord. You want to hide yourself in the Lord. Meaning what? You want to be in these scriptures. You want to be built up in the knowledge, the wisdom, understanding of the Lord. You want to make sure that when Yahweh Shai returns, and guess what? You're one of those first ones that's caught up in those chariots. And you can only truly do that by repenting of your sins. So most our willingness is edifying. Of course, we want to give all honor and all glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Hamashiach, Malak Yahushai. Lord willing, keep watching these last days. Lord willing, you continue to repent, right? You're fasting, you're reading, you're studying. You're doing all that you can do in these last days before Yahweh Shai returns. But with that, this is Brother Kasadi from W5 Jersey, Philly.
Hi, Yazoo.
Brother Itazamak.
Kwame Asharala, keep watching these last days. Shalom.
Shalom.